Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. All right, I will now call to order the June 20th, 23rd meeting of the Public Safety Committee of the City of Plattsburgh, New York. The time is 5:01 p.m. I will do the roll call for attendance. Councilor Bond is excused this evening. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Mayor Rosenquist. And I am present, Chairperson Councilor Bob. To begin with, I'll take a motion for approval of the minutes from the May 15th, 2023 Public Safety Committee meeting. Motion by Councilor Kelly, second by Mayor Rosenquist. All in favor? Aye. Oh, okay. All right, moving on to item number 2, I have the building inspector reports. We've got reports, items 2.1 to 2.4 we can discuss all together, which include the monthly violations report, the year-to-date citizen complaint and proactive patrol report, year-to-date permit applications and revenues report, and the building inspector's tree report 2023. So any questions or concerns about the reports this month? No, you're good looking at the crowd. It's good.
Okay, this screen's back. She's doing
Great.
it all the time. Tell me where.
You're fine. You're fine. Cool.
Most important thing is that I can hear. But yes,
Again, so standard reports, yeah, standard reports, as provided on a monthly. I think the only difference here is the tree report. That's typically an annual report, and then periodic updates on progress made through those notifications violations. Other than that, it's fairly standard.
okay. I myself didn't have any questions or concerns because, as you said, they're pretty standard reports.
I had no question about any of the reports, so I read them all. The tree reports, as always.
Yeah, the tree report has been an interesting journey. It started 10 or 12 years ago, and there were 80 or so hedges, trees on the list that were a problem with in relation to sidewalks. And some of those were really hard. It took a couple of years to sort those out. In some cases, they had no choice but to pull the whole hedge. There was no way to make it work. And so now we got the list down. I think it's 25 here. 7 of them are city trees. We forwarded those on to Public Works, so they'll get to those when they can. The rest of them, we're required to give them at least 30 days. We always give them 6 weeks about there, and then try and work with them even beyond that, if they're as long as they're working on it. So, but just to make sure you guys know, this is not something we're supposed to be looking at all year long. We have this report is due in May, so if, let's say you saw one today and it wasn't on our list, might not have been in violation, 6 weeks ago when we did this. So
Right.
in those cases, we deal with them on a case-by-case basis, and we can deal with it as a complainer.
It's the time of the year, really. It's like everything's growing. My hedges are growing.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. So.
All right. If there's no other questions or concerns, thank you so much. I think we're all set.
There were some discussion points on here. Did we want to touch base on those?
Sorry, 2.5. Yep, the vacant property permit and short-term rental registry. Yes, that's
Yeah, and then sorry, my brain works sometimes. I'm in the middle of something and I trailed off that sentence. There's a few more items that were to go on that list that Joe and my office has been working on. So I did invite Joe here to as a preliminary to council, letting council know that these are items that we are working on through his office right now, and that council should expect to see these here shortly. These are nothing new. Maybe the short-term rental registry may be new, but the vacant property permit is something that we have talked about on council in passing or in detail. But again, that's a permit similar to what other municipalities are doing. And by the way, nothing that we're talking about here is unique to us, and we're not inventing anything. So the vacant property permit is just that. If there's a vacant property that's not being used, not being improved, not being rented or being prepared for sale. There could be more of an incentive to those property owners to do something with that property. Considering not only just the shortage of commercial space, but also shortage of housing that property could be potentially used for. The short-term rental registry, obviously that has kind of peaked its head with the most recent complaint. But again, nothing new to the city of Plattsburgh. Certainly there's a couple of different avenues we could take. One is just a complete ban on short-term rentals. One is a more of a flexible to see how things pan out over time, with a registry, with a registry model for short-term rentals. Much like many municipalities do, a lot of municipalities take both routes until there's some type of mechanism to be a little bit in more control of these short-term rentals. We talked about, and I'm not going to steal all of Joe's thunder here, but we also talked about expanding the existing rental registry. Not the short-term rental registry, but the housing rental registry. Right now, as a reminder to folks that we do not cover single and duplex units, everything is 3 and above. But according to what we know, still there's probably a pretty equal amount of 3 and above addresses versus 1, 2 and below addresses in the city of Plattsburgh as rentals, and we'll provide a lot more data on that before making a decision or putting something towards council. And then finally, the downtown garbage and the concerns over downtown garbage screening, management, storing of private garbage bins on public property, and trying to find a mechanism to manage that a lot more and be a little bit more stringent on how that is managed downtown, especially downtown with the shortage of space and residential garbage bins that typically would be stored in the driveway or in the garage. Are now stored on public property, sidewalks, and public green space. So we want to find a way to manage for that and a fair and balanced mechanism, not punitive, but something that kind of works out for everybody involved.
Yeah, so if I can just highlight
Yes.
all those issues real quick, at the very top of that list, the vacant property list. Okay, we've got several properties in the city that are vacant, and there's minimum standards for keeping them up, but this is something you're gonna see relatively soon. We actually have a model in front of me right now. We're taking some examples from other places, and we've got to sort out the legal aspects of it. But basically, is if you have a vacant property and it meets the definition of vacant, this is a way to incentivize moving, doing something with it. Either actively marketing it, getting a building permit to work on it, just to get it occupied. And there would be an annual fee to have it on the the vacant property registry, and those incentive fees could be applied to it. It could be reduced to those fees, 50% or whatever. We don't have all of those numbers ironed out, but essentially, the reasoning and rationale for it are there. So that's something you're going to see pretty quickly. The short-term rental registry, I just gave Councilor Kelly a copy, and I gave the mayor a couple of copies too. What we did was we looked at several municipalities across the state about short-term rentals, vacation rentals. They're basically the same thing. Several of them don't regulate them at all intentionally. They're just hands off, got nothing to do with it. Several of them forbid short-term rentals, can't have them. And then several of them regulate them in a similar degree. They're all very similar, but yeah, so that's another thing we're working on, short-term rental registry, if that's something that we want to pursue. Expansion of the housing registry, that Mayor and I are discussing the validity of that expansion. Essentially, there's twice as many. Right now, there's about 500 properties that fall into our rental registry requirement. There's 3-family and above, or commercial mixed occupancy that qualify for this. If we were to include 1 and 2 families, it would essentially, it would be actually more than 500, it's about 550 more on top of that. So that's, you know, it's a lot more work, obviously, and, you know, trying to sort out the value. So that's a part of the discussion every time we talk about it. And, the last one is downtown garbage. You know, we're working with the city planner on this, several of my ideas keep coming back. Most people need to utilize city property to store their garbage. There's a small percentage of properties downtown, and I can name several right now, but they have their own private property where they can put their dumpster and their garbage receptacles. But most need to utilize city property. And, you know, we're trying to sort out the best way to do that. And, it's a little complicated, but, we're making progress.
Well, thank you for your efforts on that. I know it's been an ongoing issue, so progress is progress.
Sure.
Cool. All right, thank you. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the police department. We've got items 3.1 through 3.3 are the police department reports. We have the monthly parking violation bureau report, the monthly call arrest and monthly animal dog control report, and the monthly payroll and overtime report. Do we have any questions, concerns about any of these reports, which, as the mayor mentioned before, are the standard monthly reports we receive? I don't see any questions or concerns about these reports. None on my end either. So seeing none, we can move on to item 3.4, which is the draft resolution, authorized budget adjustment, police academy revenue. Do I have a motion? Motion by Counselor Kelly, second by Mayor Rosenquist. Discussion.
As we are the Zone 9 Academy providers, we do get paid for those efforts from partner agencies or agencies that are sending their cadets through our program or the program that we're hosting. This is no different. Same thing happened last time we had hosted a police academy. This year. This year's 36,000. I don't remember what it was last time we hosted academy, but same. If the captain wants to expand on that.
Just basically something that we can't budget for, we don't usually know how many we're gonna have. I guess that was one of the questions, if we budget or not. Usually we don't know exactly the number we're gonna have until right before the whole academy, so it's kind of hard to budget for. So that's why it's just, someone that comes after, we have to move it into another.
There were 3 line items that you were coming up short on, I guess you could say. And the police academy revenue were one.
As much as I pay for that, yes.
Makes sense to me.
There was one question, Councilor Vaughn asked the last meeting, she was asking a question about our academy, and how many people we had in our academy, and how many lived in the city. I did have that number. We had 6 total new hires. One was already trained in Absolutely Academy. He does live in the city. Of the other 5 that are currently academy, there's 1 more that lives in the city that are in the towns. So 2 total that live in the city.
Thank you so much for getting that information. If we're ready, we can take it all in favor for item 3.4. All in favor, aye. Aye. Okay, seeing none opposed, this item will move to the regular meeting of the Common Council.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll move on to items 4.1 and 4.2, which are our fire department reports. We have the monthly EMS and fire call report and the monthly payroll and overtime report. Hello, Chief.
How we doing?
Good, thank you. How about yourself?
Great.
Good.
Yeah. Those reports.
Pretty standard reports. Any questions or concerns?
Appreciate you doing it. Didn't have any vote.
Yeah, I just want to say, the payroll continues to look really good, and I just wanted to say that's great. So thank you.
We're trying.
Yeah. Well, it shows. I think it really shows.
And your EMS numbers are way up.
Yes, they're going up. Call volumes always increasing. So that means more revenue. So we just keep going on, and when we have 8 people on duty, we run 2 ambulances. We're getting them more.
Counselor Bob, there's one item that didn't make it, came to me today, from Captain, or from Chief Wallace, regarding, equipment purchase. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to Chief Wallace to discuss the program that the city, manages and maintains, not only for the city of Plattsburgh, but for the region. And then, Chief will be able to explain it a lot more intelligently than I could, so I'll turn it over to Chief.
So we have a water rescue division that we work on. We were able to secure inflatable boats. We've been using those for the last 3 years. The issue that we're coming across is that the inflatable boats are great for calm weather, but that's not when all incidents happen. In fact, most of the time it's when we get bad waves, bad weather. So we started looking at different alternatives on how to get a boat that would meet our needs. And we've been on, we signed up and started looking at government access to surplus. What that would be is that if a government entity was getting rid of a vehicle or a boat, it's usually at a substantially less cost than a new one. And we were seeing if there was anything out there. I let the mayor know that we had located one. If you get a rescue boat or one that would meet the needs of the lake. This boat that we're looking at was $268,000 new. There's no way that that's feasible for us. Well, the resale on it right now is $40,000. So, and it's in good shape. We're obviously doing our due diligence, but this is the starting conversations that we've been having about. We need to expand this a little more. The mayor can talk to it, but we've used him as a victim out in the lake. And when you just get 1 or 2 foot waves, it makes a complete difference. So we're trying to get it so that at midnight on a stormy night, if a boat overturns, we have the ability to go out and rescue survivors and get people out of the water. So that's what we're looking at. Obviously, we're going to look to make sure that the boat meets our needs. It's a good investment, but that's what we had preliminary conversations with it. And also as a fire pump, so we've identified that if any of these marinas, that we've got the 2 major ones downtown, that they have millions of dollars worth of boats that are out there that are all made of resin. If one burns, we're gonna end up with 10 boats on fire. How do we get there? We're working on our operational plans from land-based, but also coming at it from another angle of being in the water and having a pump that could help mitigate and stop the conflagration of all the boats. Because we went down today and there's boats there that are worth $1 million that are sitting there, and we don't have the means to, if it starts going and we have an active fire, to mitigate it. I mean, we're working on our land-based stuff too, but that's always difficult putting firefighters on a moving dock in full turnout here, because if they go in now, we have a bigger problem because of those things. So we're just working all different angles, but this vote came about, and the mayor and I had discussions about it earlier, about the possibility of securing it.
In terms of, obviously from a public safety perspective and being on the lake, yes, it's critical for us to have the right equipment for the right job. In terms of the cost, as Chief said, yeah, we're not gonna go out and spend $200,000 on a brand new boat. A $40,000 expenditure for a capital project or a capital purchase is something that can come out of a contingency fund, just for this reason, it is not budgeted. However, there is contingency monies available, if it pleases the council, pleases this committee, we can put something together in terms of a spending or a resolution or package, that is budget neutral.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea.
One thing that comes to mind is the Cumberland Head Ferry. You know, God forbid,
God forbid,
something happens to that, would you guys be available to?
Yes, so our procedure right now is that we take the engine from station one, we have a slip down at our Wilcox that we keep an inflatable boat in right now.
Yeah.
And we've done time runs and we can be out and moving in 5 minutes. It's 3 minutes, we go lights and sirens, the boat's in the water, we get things going, we put our initial crews in and go. The ferry is always one, but we have people that are out in watercraft and doing everything else. And you'll watch them on a hot summer day in the day. People are tied up and boats are all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to be able to mitigate an emergency. It's not that, like I said, how many have you had? Well, last year there was 6 rescues involved in water. There's always the chance that something worse happens. And how do we, one of our jobs is myself and this chief is doomsday preppers. Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? And do we have plans in place, or how do we go about doing it? Is it the plan? Is it the equipment? Is it a combination of both? So you're right, I mean, you look at the ferry, that's gonna be substantial, you're gonna get people coming. Coast Guard's out of Burlington. Sheriff's Patrol has a boat with water, but a lot of times they're in different areas. So you're gonna get them from Vermont and everywhere else. Be quite a production.
But do you believe this new boat would help?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's made for this. It's got, the sides are down so that you can get people, getting somebody over the side of the boat is a whole technique. But they've got openings in the boat so that you can get lower to the water. So it's getting people out of the water. We've had people fall in down at the Naked Turtle off the docks. You try to get somebody out of the water onto the dock. It's difficult. We've got a procedure now, but
Yeah, from a personal anecdote, as Chief said, I played a rescue victim last year, I think sometime. But I'll tell you, I was in full gear, flotation device, the whole thing, and it's very controlled. And I can really, when you get dropped off in the middle of the lake and waves are above your head and you can't see nothing, it becomes very real. You know, people are drinking out there, you know, they don't have life preservers or anything like that, they don't have effective equipment. Yeah, you can see how it can go south very quickly, so having the right equipment, I think is the right thing to do. We'll put together something for council and just let the council decide at that point. Okay,
Sounds good. Yep, sounds great.
thanks. Chief.
Thanks so much, Chief. All right, is there any new business to come before this committee? All right, seeing none, is there any public comment this evening?
There's no one in the audience.
And nobody on,
In the audience, not me.
right, no unofficial people. All right, great. All right, so seeing none, I will now take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion from Mayor Rosenquist, second by Councilor Kelly, all in favor? Aye. All right,